Welcome, graduands, family and friends, to this very special occasion here at the Guildhall, Southampton. It is my great pleasure in my role as the Vice President of the University to formally declare open this ceremony for the conferment of awards. On behalf of the University and my colleagues here today, let me be the first to offer my warmest congratulations to you all. This is a momentous occasion and one which I hope you will savour and cherish as part of your memories in years to come. To say that your university experience has been a highly unusual one would be a gross understatement. Studying for a degree is demanding enough in itself, and yet you have all faced many more challenges throughout your time with us than your predecessors will have ever experienced. I want to remind you today that the impact of the global events that have spanned your time at this university must not in any way overshadow your achievements. Today is a joyous day. Despite the tough times, you have all managed to accomplish the remarkable, showing great creativity and resilience to reach this point. Graduations are primarily celebrations, and I'm sure that everyone here today is very much in the mood to celebrate. These occasions are also an opportunity to look forward and backward and to mark a major life transition for our graduands. As we reflect upon the years you have spent with us, I hope you are now looking to the future with optimism and determination. Everyone who has passed through our university and across our graduation stages over the years has played a vital role in shaping our identity. I hope that you will all take pride in being a member of our community for life. In fact, from the moment you accepted your offer to study here with us, your journey has been part of Southampton's journey too. You are part of our 161-year history. Having humbly begun life as the Hartley Institution in the city centre in 1862, not very far away from where we are now world-renowned with 7 campuses, 6 in the UK and 1 in Malaysia. Globally, we are one of the top 100 universities in the world out of over 10,000, and closer to home, we are a top 20 UK university out of about 140. We are also, as I'm sure you're aware, a member of the research-intensive group of Russell Group universities. Graduating from our university will put you in good stead as you find your feet and travel down your chosen paths. Universities bring people together from diverse backgrounds and places, all with different ideas, experiences, and interests. The friendships and connections that I formed during my time at university, sadly many years ago now, have endured more strongly than many made before or since. And I'm sure that many of you will have made similar enduring relationships whilst you've been with us at Southampton, which may well turn out to be the most lasting consequence of your time with us. This concept of unity and connection is also of wider long-term importance as we tackle too many global challenges, including the apparently simple one, but never seems more fragile, of maintaining peace in our world and collaborating together on vital solutions. I'm adamant that in my role as Vice President of Research and Enterprise here, I have the best job in the university, as I spend much of my time working with and supporting amazing people doing utterly amazing things. We are a remarkable and diverse university community. I've also seen an increased appetite among our students for engaging in entrepreneurial activities, which excites me immensely. When I arrived at Southampton 19 years ago, having spent 15 years previously in the United States in industry and in universities, I observed that at graduation, the students there who were viewed as having the coolest first job were those going off to be employee number 1 at a tech startup, while in the UK, the kudos would tend to go to those going to work for large, established organisations. It feels over those intervening years, the UK has changed significantly for the better. Over the past decade, we have seen increased demand from our students to help them explore their entrepreneurial potential, whether it is part of our UK Champion in Actors team, through our Social Impact Lab, or via our tech incubator, Future Worlds. There has also been an exponential increase in student startup companies. In many cases, these activities draw on and interact with both our research and educational activities, which is one of the real values of having been at a university such as this. Indeed, some of you may be involved in exciting enterprise activities or planning to start your own business just as soon as you remove your cap and gown at the end of the ceremony today. And so I leave you with some advice. Please dare to be entrepreneurial, but collaborative too. Even if you are working in a large hierarchical organization, give yourself permission to think differently, work with others, and challenge the status quo. Innovation is particularly important, and the UK continues to face many problems which require entrepreneurial solutions. Equally, the world needs innovative solutions to many pressing global challenges. I'm confident that you, our graduates and soon-to-be alumni, will be among the leaders and thinkers addressing these issues. So enough from me. Here's to you, our students, our graduands, now our graduates, our alumni, and our future. Let's continue with today's celebrations by welcoming you into the next stage of your lives. Congratulations.
Dr. Margaret Linen is an award-winning oceanographer and distinguished national and international leader in ocean science, global climate, and environmental issues. Her research in paleoceanography and paleoclimatology focuses on ocean sediments and their relationship to global biogeochemical cycles and the history of Earth's ocean and climate. Dr. Linen leads UC San Diego's Ocean, Earth, Atmospheric and Climate Science Research and Education programs at Scripps Oceanography, one of the foremost environmental research institutions addressing the pressing environmental problems facing our planet. Scripps Oceanography provides the knowledge necessary to address these challenges, teaches the next generation of science leaders, and partners with governments, non-profits, and the private sector to translate knowledge to action. Dr. Linen's impressive career covers academic research and administration, federal research, and non-profit startups. In order to understand the person she is now and all that she's accomplished, it's often useful to go back to the beginning of the story. So that is what I'm going to do now, and I invite you all to share this journey with me. Margaret Linen was born in Joliet, Illinois, deep in the American Midwest. Joliet was a small factory town by American standards and comprised around 50,000 people. At the time, all that existed between Margaret's birthplace and the metropolis of Chicago was miles of farms, as far as the eye could see. When Margaret was a little girl, she originally wanted to be a lawyer, just like in her favorite TV show, Perry Mason. Perry represented everything that her life situation was not. He had a female assistant and a private detective who worked with him, drove around in convertibles, drank cocktails, wore a suit, solved every case, and helped every client. In contrast, Margaret lived in the back of a store that her parents ran, and the only time she ever saw her father wear a suit was at a funeral. It seemed like a career in law would be a charming life, and it didn't occur to her at the time that few women would be allowed entry into law school should pass the bar or get a job. Joliet was also where Margaret spent her childhood, and unsurprisingly, she was a good student. At high school, she excelled in science, that fascinating subject that answers the whys and the hows, and invariably produces even more questions to pore over and investigate, providing a base for endless inquiry. When Margaret turned 18, she traveled south and enrolled as an undergraduate at the University of Illinois, based at their Urbana-Champaign campus in the very center of the state. Margaret enrolled knowing that she wanted to major in a science-related subject, but initially thought that biochemistry might be her calling. Margaret has recounted how all of the classes she took in chemistry were huge, with 400 students, and this just wasn't in line with her idea of what a college would be, especially as she didn't get to know her professors very well or have enough direct contact with them to have really stimulating academic discussions. Not one to be put off, she looked around for other science-related courses instead and decided to take a geology class. The rest, as they say, is history. Margaret recounted a story to me of going on a field trip to a strip mine about 30 miles from the campus on a cold November weekend for one of her geology classes. This was one of many field trips she took, traveling at times to Kentucky, the Appalachians, Tennessee, Virginia, Oklahoma, Kansas, Michigan, and Wisconsin. As air travel was reserved for the wealthy in those days, something like a field trip to Oklahoma would mean a 2-day trip to get to the destination, then having 4 days for the trip itself, and then driving 2 days back. Talk about dedication. As Margaret has commented, though, once she found geology, that was it. She remembers with fondness that first field trip being very cold and rainy, with mud everywhere, and being on a bus full of other undergraduates with condensation streaming up the windows. Now, this might not sound like everyone's idea of heaven, but that bus also included 4 or 5 accompanying faculty who brought with them multiple thermos flasks of coffee. And when the bus stopped to allow the fieldwork to commence and there were breaks in those activities, the professors and students would discuss geology together under tarpaulins while sitting on rocks, drinking and sharing the coffee that the faculty members brought. Are you there in that memory with Margaret? Can you hear the rain tip-tapping off the tarpaulin and smell the warming coffee, fingers clasped around cups to keep warm? I certainly can. This was so different to what Margaret had experienced before. The faculty members were committed to their students' learning, supporting them to have a good time on the field trip, no matter what nature decided to inflict upon them. And through these experiences, Margaret developed a spark and a genuine interest in the subject of geology. There was no droning on in geology, but real, actual engagement with students, exactly what we all search for in our own academic endeavours, and what I hope you have all enjoyed at the University of Southampton. With this positive experience adding wind to her sails, Margaret decided to take another class in that area and came across a class taught by Dr. Harold Wanless, who was a world-famous geologist close to retirement, specialising in the environment of the coal deposits and sediments of the Carboniferous period, about 300 to 360 million years ago. Not only was Dr. Wanless an excellent professor who was committed to his students, but he also chose wisely when it came to his teaching assistants, ensuring that they also spent a lot of time with students. Fortunately for us, Dr. Wanless's TA at the time mentioned that the professor always took on a student assistant, and he recommended that Margaret apply. At the time, Margaret had a part-time job washing dishes, so this was much more appealing. If it sounds as though Margaret was busy during her undergraduate studies, that's because she was. But she was never one to do things by halves, and during this period of her life, she also married and had a child, still taking only 4.5 years to graduate with a Bachelor of Science. As Margaret astutely pointed out, though, there's no convenient time to have children, so sometimes you just have to go ahead and do things anyway. I feel there are some life lessons in there for all of us, whatever it may be, that we put off but really shouldn't. After graduation, Margaret worked at the Illinois Geological Survey, which was based on the university campus, illustrating fossil guidebooks and field trip books. Aside from completing the illustrations, Margaret was also a gopher, as she puts it, spending time in the library again to collect books for her colleagues. So it is perhaps not a surprise that after 4 years, Margaret decided to return to education. While we take for granted now a common understanding of plate tectonics, the modern concept was only published in 1969, so this was very early days in understanding the intersection between ocean geological processes and plate tectonics. There were no oceanography programs in Illinois at the time either, so Margaret attended a meeting of the American Geological Union and talked to people there about the geology of the oceans, seeking to get advice from scientists attending the meeting about where she should go to school to conduct research on this area. It was here that Margaret was told that a group of 6 researchers had just moved from the Scripps Institute to Oregon State University and were looking for graduate students. So, Margaret applied there, attracted by the opportunity to work with researchers who were at the forefront of an emerging area of science. Margaret was again blessed with wonderful faculty members. One who particularly stood out was Ross Heath. He wasn't Margaret's official advisor, but was very involved in helping guide her research. After 3 years, he moved to the University of Rhode Island, along with another faculty member, and invited Margaret to continue her PhD there instead. This was too good an opportunity to pass up, so Margaret decided to finish up what was intended to be a PhD and graduated with a Master's in Geological Oceanography in 1975 from OSU instead, always intending to return to geology as her first love. 3 years after arriving at Rhode Island, Ross Heath went back to the Oregon State University to serve as dean. He invited Margaret to continue her research there, but she politely declined. As she put it, no woman should follow a man she's not married to across country more than once. Margaret therefore remained at Rhode Island and completed her PhD in 1980 with a thesis on the paleochemical signatures in Cenozoic Pacific sediments, with Ross Heath remaining her advisor in absentia. With Ross Heath's departure from Rhode Island, Margaret took over Ross's labs and began a new position of research scientist. 3 years later, she was promoted to the role of Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, then Interim Dean another 2 or 3 years later, before being encouraged to undertake the Dean role permanently. This was an incredibly rapid rise through the ranks and reflects the respect that Dr. Linan holds within the sector. If this sounds like it was easy, though, this was far from the case. Margaret experienced a lot of misogynistic behaviour, and going to sea, as she often did as part of her research, was no picnic. Ship crew were all men in those days, and most were reluctant about having women on ships. The situation became worse when she was a chief scientist and was in charge of the research trips. There were many confrontations when Margaret was told she didn't know what she was doing. They wouldn't let her use some of the gear, as they thought it would damage the ship or damage her. She was told that women might be a distraction and someone could get hurt. I hope to many of you these examples seem incredulous as you find yourselves in environments where gender equity is a given, although I suspect there will be at least a glimmer of recognition. When Margaret was asked how she dealt with these injustices and barriers, she smiled and said, "I just thought they were stupid, so I kept going." That kind of resilience is something that serves us all well to remember. After her roles at Rhode Island, Dr. Linan served for 7 years at the National Science Foundation, or NSF, as Assistant Director for Geosciences and Coordinator of Environmental Research and Education. During that time, she also led government-wide planning for climate research through the US Global Change Research Programme and co-led government planning for ocean research. While at NSF, she presided over and directly influenced the development of some of the most consequential programs in marine, atmospheric, and earth sciences, including EarthScope, the International Ocean Drilling Programme, the Ocean Observatories Initiative, and NSF's Biocomplexity Initiative. In 2013, Dr. Linan joined the world-famous Scripps Institution of Oceanography and became Vice Chancellor for Marine Science at the University of California, San Diego. Over the last 10 years, she has overseen 3 major changes. The first is that when she arrived, Scripps was just a graduate school with little involvement in undergraduate education. Dr. Linan has changed that, and Scripps now has 850 undergraduate students majoring across 7 different programs. The second major change is that more than 40% of their research is now considered use-inspired research or solution-oriented research, which is based on solving a problem such as investigating solutions to sea level rises, earthquakes hazards, pollution, and precipitation relating to the ocean like hurricanes. The third major change that Dr. Linan has overseen is diversifying the Scripps faculty. She has focused on hiring at the assistant professor level, as that's where diversity is achievable and has greater long-term benefits. She has hired 50 faculty since arriving, 50% of whom have been female and 20% of whom have been people of colour. Making these sorts of changes requires bold determination, and it is clear that Dr. Linan has that in spades. Dr. Linan currently serves as co-chair of the Decade Advisory Board for the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, and as a member of the Distinguished Leadership Council of the Joint Ocean Commission Initiative. From 2016 to 2018, she served as a US Special Envoy focusing on ocean science in Latin America, East Asia, and the Pacific. She has served as President of the American Geophysical Union, Chair of the Atmospheric and Hydrospheric Science Section of the American Academy for the Advancement of Science, and President of the Oceanography Society. She serves on the boards of the California Ocean Science Trust and Science Counts. She is also the Vice Chair of the Research Board of the $500 million Gulf of Mexico Research Initiative. Professor Linan is a Fellow of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, the Geological Society of America, the American Geophysical Union, and the Oceanography Society. She was elected an honorary member of the American Meteorological Society. She has been awarded distinguished alumni awards from all 3 universities she attended as a student, the University of Illinois, Oregon State University, and the University of Rhode Island. And in 2020, she was elected to the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. If you ask Dr. Linen what her abiding contribution to the world has been so far, she would be likely to say that by undertaking these increasingly senior administrative jobs, Dean, Assistant Director of the National Science Foundation, and then Director of a non-profit organisation, she has served as an example that women can be very successful in leadership roles. I think we would have to agree with her on this, and that is also partly why we are recommending her for an honorary doctorate today. She has shown exemplary service to society through her contribution to science and climate change mitigation, and she has been a long-time friend of the University of Southampton through her various links with faculty members and the National Oceanographic Centre, Southampton. Many of you here today are at the beginning of your careers, so in closing, please allow me to share some advice from Dr. Linen too. She says, when you have self-doubt, and we all do from time to time, ignore that internal narrative questioning if you really can face the challenge ahead. When you hear that little voice, ignore it. It's a part of being human and not a reflection of your real worth or what you can do. These are wise words we could all do well to live by. Vice President, I have the great honour to present Margaret Linen as eminently worthy of the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa.
Good afternoon. My name is Justin Sheffield, Professor of Hydrology in the School of Geography and Environmental Science, and I'm the reader for that school today. Vice President, I submit to you the candidates from Environmental and Life Sciences for the awards of Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science, Master of Philosophy, Master of Science, Doctor of Philosophy. Vice President, the names of the candidates from School of Geography and Environmental Science are shown in the programme, and I ask that you admit them to their awards.
I admit them and those in absentia to their awards.
Vice President, I present to you the following Bachelors of Arts. Holly Jasmine Adams. Luca Allegranza Quick. Daniel David Allen. Emily Bonnet. Maisie Campbell. Samuel Cook. Rosie Cornelius Light. Isabel Craig. Chloe Crowther. William James Kerwin. Zachary Thomas Edwards. Toby Benjamin Hill. Joshua Hooley. Lily Isilma Hudson. Esther Jackson. Carl Yarvstrom. Jemima King. Timothy King. Oliver Kleiner. Angus Leddingham. Monica Leah Melling. Santiago Darcy Ortiz Duffin. Lily Phillips. Rosie Keris May Powell. Athena Purver. Eliza Tadman. Bethany May Taylor. Kira Temple Smith. Zachary Trigger. Vice President, I present to you the following Bachelors of Science. Luis Gabriel de Pulpiquet de Brescavel. Mason Ilston. Gabriel Lemos Finocchio Baraldi. Maxwell James Tankard. Thomas Joseph Wells. Lucy Cressy. Chloe Hayward. Rosie May Gillette. Tyler Oxford. William Driver. Grace Duncombe. Stephanie Gordon. Lauren Sophie Scudder. Gabriella Taylor. Thomas Watson. Megan Atwood. Josephine Margaret Beagley. Emily Rachel Bolton. Callum Britt. Alexander Bull. Napanari Karansuk. Nicholas Crowe. Paige Taylor-Dan. Tavleen Kaur-Dillon. Lily Geraldine Dunwell. Imogen Edwards. Philip Ems. Alexander Richard Hedikar. Bradley Hogg. Gracie Horton. Elisa Hunt. Emily Jessamy. Harry Robert Joyner. Luke Kavanagh. Harry King. Grace McNeil. Sophie Morris. Jessica Rachel Charlotte Newell. James Harry Patterson. Matthew Patton. Jackson Luke Pawley. Lewis Percy. Simran Lakshmi Ramshaw. Neve Surgeon. Henry Shaw. Zara Skarupa. Katie Squires. Callie Stegel. Madison Jade Stepney. Louise Elsie Tedridge. Jessica Todd. Charlotte Patricia Tunks. Ellen Rose Louise Webb. Lewis White. Rebecca Emma Wald. Amy Blatchford. Luke Daniel Pearce-Jones. Vice President, I present to you the following Master of Philosophy. Ana Mafalda Barako Silveira y Lorena Mota. Vice President, I present to you the following Masters of Science. Louis Singh. Alicia Louise Stafford-Jones. Amy Louise Hornsby. Lydia Meyer. Vice President, I present to you the following Masters of Science. Natasha Ann Cansdale. Lorna Margot Gwilliam. Elizabeth Jujo Richards. Elizabeth McGruff. Rebecca Sophie Perkins. David Luke Pretty. Chrysothemis Cleopatra Vurazaki. Holly Ann Wagon. Catherine Bacon. Patricia Isabella Tapia Yaramillo. Luca Armezani. Nicholas Alexander da Costa. Nicholas Timothy MacDonald. Christopher Richard Roberson. Max Speed. Ella Grace Taylor. Philippa Jennifer Waller. Marcel Leon Walterson. Yi Sun. Jonathan Korazmin. Graham Kenneth Allen. Guy Beresford John Denton. Rebecca Durant. Joseph Samuel Elliott. Susanna Elizabeth Fieldwick. Effie Megan Hastelow. Edward James. Emily Jane Langrish. Joseph Leggett. Callum Callowell MacDonald. Gareth Peer. Joseph Dudley Ramage. Varsha Srivastava. Nikapat Sukontason. Kelsey Tara Brown. Viviana Maria Brun Moreno. Eleanor Jane Reed. Vice President, I present to you the following Doctors of Philosophy. For a thesis entitled Challenges in Optimizing Methods for Extraction of Microplastics from Complex Environmental Matrices, Chloe Jane Way. For a thesis entitled Quantifying the Benefits of Natural Flood Management Methods in Groundwater-Dominated River Systems, Imogen Barnsley. For a thesis entitled Insights into the Seasonal Dynamics of the Lake Terminating Glacier, Fjallajökull, Southeast Iceland, inferred using ultra-high resolution repeat UAV imagery, Nathaniel Ross Burley. For a thesis entitled Untangling the Effects of Urban Green Space on Mental Health, Rebecca May Collins. For a thesis entitled Understanding Social Capital and the Role It Plays in Food Security in Malawi, Elise Craig. For a thesis entitled Spatial Patterns of Birthing Service Use in Eastern Region Ghana, Winfried Wolanyo Dotsi Gabo Botsi. For a thesis entitled The Application of Sedimentary Ancient DNA Analysis to Archaeological Sediments for the Reconstruction of Paleo-Environments, Samuel Michael Hudson. For a thesis entitled Growing Precarity in the UK, an examination into the everyday lived experiences of home sharers, Laura Isabel Padden. For a thesis entitled Home-Based Business Performance, a Study of Geography, Gender and Small Business Growth in the UK, Victoria Sharm Price. For a thesis entitled Cultivating More Than Animal Welfare within the Animal Research Facility, Rebecca Claire Thomas. For a thesis entitled Domestic Drinking Water Availability in Sub-Saharan Africa, Investigating Drivers and Indicators, Maya Lucy Heath Thomas Posse. For a thesis entitled Assessing Ecogeomorphic Interactions Across Scales Using Novel UAV-Based Remote Sensing Techniques and Modeling, Christopher Thompson. For a thesis entitled Estimation of Crop Yield in Thailand Using Satellite Data, Jadapon Nontasiri.
Good afternoon. My name is Professor Thomas Ezard. I'm the Deputy Head of School Education in School of Ocean and Earth Science, whose names I will be reading this afternoon. Vice President, the names of the candidates from the School of Ocean and Earth Science are shown in the programme, and I ask that you admit them to their awards.
I admit them and those in absentia to their awards.
Vice President, I present to you the following Bachelors of Science. Emilia Del Anno. Emily Joanne Gaskin. Jennifer Hadley. Zuhair Sharar Islam. Kirianth Yavayanathan. Rachel Johansson Brown. Emma Mansell. Charlotte Alexandra McClure. Martha McKee. Rory Trafford. Georgia Warner. Sophie Alexandra Buck. Olivia Mary Chappell. Jessica Dunlop. Bianca Gazingen. Jack Harris. Thomas Lloyd. Felix Nelson. Samuel Osborne. Rebecca Louise Osler. Griffin Paris. Anna Mae Pierce. Jonathan Risbridger. Sam William Jonathan Stewart. Callum Weena Droney. Zoe Rose Bassendale. Anan Khalid E. Almadi. Gregor James Anderson. Bhavdeep Baines. Catherine Blight. Jack Booth. Jasmine Abigail Brown. Luke Simon Cowdery Howells. Jasmine Gosling. William Hopkins. Sophie Anna Rose Hubbard. Amber Hutchinson. Rachel Palmer. Max Phillips. Grace Mary Reynolds. Sutung Karitsi. Miguel Erdangaran. Emily Baldock. Tegan Barber. Victoria Jessica Dixon. Giacomo Michele Galdiolo. Molly Jane Hawkes. Gloria Natal Angelo. Rupert Christian Jowl Parkin. Ella Proverbs. Lee Marie Simon. Catherine Sykes. Thomas George Adams. Oliver Dowson McGill. Fong Lee. Tobias Richard Ramwell. Kia Rogers. Jemima Scroggy. Alexander Peter Reeford. Frank John Riding. Vice President, I submit to you the following Masters of Science. Beanie James Ashley Norman. Lucy Hempelman. Megan Humphreys. Joseph William Alexander Rootkin. Katerina Sandamas. David Santo. Joshua Smith. Joseph Crump. Thomas Hemmings. Daniel Christopher Howcroft. John Joe Hughes. Ross Jackson. Edmund Patrick Alfred McNulty. Xinran Wang. Alfred James Wilson. Christina Maria Beam. Andrula Balapastiusototu. Anna Berry. Freya Brazier. Hester Alice Juliet Churchhouse. Megan Jane Derrick. Annabelle Dyson. Emma Catherine Foster. Hannah Gibbs. Alexander Gilchrist. Laura Hodorova. Holly Kiprianou. Caitlin Jane Mason. William Ross McFadgen. Elizabeth Miles. Kira Newman. Jessica Summers. Libby Watton. Josephine Holly Wild. James Barlow.
Yeah, Barlow!
Hayley Cousins. Hannah Jane Gower. J. Edward Jarrett. Elliot William Alexander Lewis. Harry Charles Richardson. Tegan Hannah Roberts. Oliver Andrew Roger. Emma Catherine Shepherd. Meridian Swaby. Isabel Thompson. Megan Francesca Walker. Marianne Williams Kerslake. Catherine Louise Williamson. Charlotte Orban. James Burke. Amy Lawrence. Zach Mansfield. Sam Sterling. Vice President, I present to you the following Doctors of Philosophy. For a thesis entitled Deglacial and Paleo-Environmental History of Anders Hugo Trough, Western Antarctic Peninsula, Zoe Amelia Roseby. For a thesis entitled Investigating How Benthic Trawl Gear Design and Location Affects the Resuspension of Sediments and Dissolved Nutrients from the Seafloor, Sarah Anna Bryman. For a thesis entitled Development of a Novel Rapid Screening Technique for Radionuclides Using Test Stick Technology, Alexandra Duarte Carrera Cabrita Margarito Tribole. For a thesis entitled Identification of Seasonal and Interannual Drivers of Primary Production in 2 Temperate Estuaries Using High-Frequency Environmental Data, Africa Paulina Gomez Castillo. For a thesis entitled Investigating the Role and Interaction of Jellyfish Blooms and Microbes in Nutrient Cycling and Ecosystem Productivity, Nathan Damian Hubel. for a thesis entitled An Ecophysiological Study of Calanus finmarchius at High Latitudes Using Environmental Metabolomics, Florence Atherton. For a thesis entitled The Impacts of Nutrient Enrichment and Skewed Nitrogen-Phosphorus Stoichiometries on the Skeletal Microstructure and Geochemistry of Zooalanthine Corals, Michael Christopher Buckingham. For a thesis entitled Blue Biotechnology, Exploring and Exploiting the Reactions of Marine Photosynthesis, Hannah Connerbeer. For a thesis entitled Using Optical Tools to Improve Understanding of Dissolved Organic Carbon Fluxes Along... No, I got out of sequence. For a thesis entitled Serpentization of the Troodos Massif Cypress, Alid Duffid Evans. For a thesis entitled, hang on, come back. For a thesis entitled Using Optical Tools to Improve Understanding of Dissolved Organic Carbon Fluxes Along the Land-Sea Aquatic Continuum, Stacey Louise Felgate. For a thesis entitled Using Cumulates as an Insight into Explosive Volcanic Eruptions and a Geochemical Understanding of the Magma Reservoir Below Tenerife, Emma Louise Horn. For a thesis entitled Investigating the Role of Traits in Species Invasiveness in Marine and Terrestrial Ecosystems, Abigail Lisa Mabey. For a thesis entitled Peatlands on the Mend, Using Plant-Microbe Interactions to Restore Peatland Structure and Function, Harry Edward Rimmer Shepherd. For a thesis entitled The Regulation of Daily Activity and Feeding Rhythms of the Economically Impactful Lepidopteran Pest Plutella xylostella, Connor Tyler. For a thesis entitled Ocean to Plate, Tracing the Geographic Origin of Fish Products Using Biochemical Forensic Techniques, Juliet Wilson. And for a thesis entitled A Reconstruction of the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation at 26 degrees north, Emma Louise Worthington.
Vice President. Good afternoon. My name is Professor Mark Moore, and as the head of the School of Ocean and Earth Science, I want to take this moment to offer you the warmest of congratulations. All of you here today have achieved some remarkable things while you've been here with us at Southampton, despite the many obstacles you may have faced over the past few years, including undertaking the early phases of your university journey during the pandemic. Over your time with us, perhaps you have started a new research journey, uncovered new passions, or ventured out into the world on fieldwork, placements, or a period of study abroad. Some of you have won awards for your projects or other academic achievements, while some of you may be most proud of the relationships you have built and the memories you've made with new friends. Perhaps something is ignited within you, which fuels your passion for further study or crystallizes your future career aspirations. Irrespectively, being here today is a major milestone for all of us. Graduation is always a momentous occasion, but given many of you have endured so much uncertainty during the time with us, today feels even more significant. You have not had an easy journey at all, but here we all are. All of us within the Faculty of Environmental and Life Sciences, and specifically the Schools of Geography and Environmental Science and Ocean and Earth Science, are very proud of you. Not only because of your academic achievements, but also because of your resilience, determination, and perseverance. Please take a minute to savor this moment. Take a look at where you are, the people that you're with, and what this ceremony truly represents. Be present and soak it all in. Personally, this will be my last graduation as head of school. So alongside the opportunity to share a very few highlights of activities across both schools presented here this afternoon, I wanted to suggest a bit of broader context to your graduation. Not just as individuals who have already achieved so much and will doubtless achieve much more, but also as a collective cohort who are graduating into a world facing many challenges, but where I truly believe you will all contribute greatly to addressing these issues. Understanding how our planetary system operates and how we are sustained by and impact this system, alongside finding a way to live both with each other and with all the other organisms we share this planet with, in a just and sustainable manner, are amongst the most crucial and intractable challenges facing our civilization. As graduates from the schools of Geography and Environmental Science and Ocean and Earth Science, you and your peers are very much the best chance we have for tackling these problems. You are today joining a community of graduates who have learnt about and in many cases been directly involved in work addressing aspects of these pressing challenges for decades. Indeed, the School of Geography and Environmental Science recently celebrated 50 years of the Environmental Science programme here at Southampton, bringing together current students and alumni from across the decades to shine a light on the legacy of research and education on understanding and protecting our planet, while anticipating a bright future for the discipline for the next 50 years and beyond. Also looking forward from one of our oldest programmes to one of our newest, and recognising the international context of many of the challenges we face, the School of Ocean and Earth Science will be adding to our education portfolio by launching a new joint degree in Global Marine Resource Management with Hong Kong University of Science and Technology next year. Across all these programmes and many others, the people you have studied with undertake world-class research addressing many of these pressing issues. For example, the World POC Group in Geography and Environmental Science is using extensive data sources to address real-world problems, ranging from helping to eradicate polio in Nigeria to assisting earthquake victims in Nepal. In the School of Ocean and Earth Science, Professor Jörg Matter's work on atmospheric carbon dioxide removal, which led to the foundation of a company called 4401 in Oman, recently won the Earthshot Prize. While Dr. Maria Baker's work with the International Deep Ocean Stewardship Initiative is helping ensure we take responsibility for the protection and management of even the most remote and inaccessible habitats on our planet. As academics, we are passionate about and justifiably proud of our research and knowledge transfer in these and numerous other areas. However, it is you, the students we have hopefully both educated and inspired, who will inevitably go on to achieve our broadest impact. Collectively, you and your peers will achieve far more than ever we can as individuals. This is our real reward as educators, to pass on to individuals such as yourselves so that you can continue the journey. Consequently, as you join our university's alumni community, please remember that you will always also be a member of our schools and our faculty. We hope that you will stay in touch as you set off on the next stage of life's journey, and hope that our paths will cross again some days. There is a quote often read at graduation ceremonies which reads, "Education is the passport for the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today." You have a passport issued by the University of Southampton, and I strongly encourage you to use it, not only to use what you have learnt to both excel in whatever path you follow next, but also to collectively contribute to making the world a better place for all of us. Many congratulations once again to you all.
Now that you've had your moment on our stage, there is much to do. Many hugs to be had, photos to take, and glasses to raise. And so I will keep this part of the ceremony as brief as possible. And we've already heard that droning on annoys our honorary graduate. Well, this is very much your day. I think we should also take a quick minute to thank the people who are there for you along the way. Your family, your friends, your support network, your tutors, some of whom will be with you here today. When you leave your seats, please share your gratitude with them. Let me also add to this by saying thank you, our graduates. Thank you for your hard work, your dedication, and your bright minds. Thank you for all that you'll go on to do. You are now part of our extensive alumni community. There are, in fact, over 280,000 of you spanning 185 countries and overseas territories across the world. It seems that when we tell you to take over the world upon graduation, you really do take us literally. You are joining people who are actively working against the climate crisis, fighting for social justice, and helping to save lives. You are joining journalists, presenters, entrepreneurs, members of the armed forces, and artists. You are joining countless Southampton graduates who are making a difference in small ways every single day. Your alumni community is invaluable, and so I ask that you use your place within it as much as you can. Learn from others, forge connections, and keep in touch. I'd urge you to consider giving back too. Becoming a mentor, for example, is a wonderful way of ensuring that another Southampton student can benefit from your expertise and experience. Most importantly, the alumni community is there to support you. You are never alone in your endeavours. So finally, I'd like to ask you all to offer a round of applause to recognise your achievements, our graduates. Now please make some noise. Hooray! I have one final duty, and that is simply to declare this ceremony closed.